thank you all guys for joining this session here, and for everyone that is following us by watching this recording. So let's start speaking a bit about our company, about Powersoft. Probably most of you are familiar, but I think it's good to refresh and have some even more information about the company and the vision that the company has applied over these 29 years in the professional audio industry. So you can see on screen, you will see overlay this presentation, and the first picture I'd like to show, the first slide I'd like to speak about, it's the vision of Claudio. Claudio Rastrucci is one of the founder of Powersoft, and it's actually the R&D director of the company. So it's, let's say, the mind behind all the technology that is bring by Powersoft. Well, it's interesting to understand what is his vision. Basically, his vision is to, let's say, think about a technological innovation product, that can interact in a system, in a complete solution. Actually, this solution, as we are amplifier manufacturer, forces us to take into consideration how the amplifier should be applied and should be used, in the field. So the amplifier must be connected to a source to receive the audio signal, must be connected to a power mains generator or let's say fixed installed system, and must be connected to a loudspeaker, because of course its primary job is to amplify the audio signal and let the loudspeaker moves. But we know very well that there could be a variety of loudspeakers. So it's interesting when you create a product to understand that when you have this in mind, you can for sure create a better product, because you know how should be used, you know how should be applied. And this actually is the philosophy of Powersoft, the philosophy of Claudio, his vision. And we have to say that thanks to this vision, probably you heard a couple of years ago, Claudio won the Industry Influencer Prize at the Innovation Award in the 2020. That we have to say is like the Oscar prize for the Academy for the movie. So it's a very important recognition to tell that and demonstrate that he really changed the audio industry, bringing this innovation. And Powersoft, of course, was also manufacturer of the year. So even during all the difficulties that we had in this period, like to shortage of component, COVID situation, Powersoft was still a strong, and is still a very, very strong company. So, and this is the demonstration by directly the Pro Audio Award, the field. But when Powersoft started this journey, Powersoft started in 1995, introducing as a first company in the pro audio market, Class D amplification product. That at those time in 1995 was, let's say, even unbelievable to think that technology could be applied for live events or for fixed installation that requires huge power. And the key was exactly that, so creating a very lightweight and compact amplifier that can produce a lot of output power. So this was really, really an innovation into the market. Then the company grew, also creating not only a rack amplifier, Powersoft branded, but also amp module that can be used by manufacturer to create their own active loudspeaker system, or even rack amplifiers, let's say, with their own brand. So also Powersoft, we can say it's behind the technology of many, many famous brands in the world, in the audio industry, even if they may appear, let's say, our competitor, but behind their equipment there is our technology, so they are still our partner, not only a competitor, let's say. So it's very interesting to understand this. Then, of course, the audio industry evolved. So Powersoft wanted to, let's say, bring and propose a kind of system solution. And this is perfectly matching the vision of Claudio. Why? Because I told you, the amplifier is just a part, is just a component of a system. But when you think that you can interact with the other elements that are in the system, actually you create a full solution. And this is what we made. We made our first experiment with the dynamic music distribution, and we will talk later about this system, and also with a transducer, because Powersoft not only have amplifier in their portfolio, but also some specific and special transducers like the mover to provide a full solution, a full system solution. Actually, the result of this experiment, of this tentative of the company, bring up to give us the recognition, again this year, I can say, for the Sphere project at the Innovation Award. Why? Because Powersoft is behind the technology, is the audio technology applied in the Sphere. There are 167,000 channels of amplification that are fully powered by Powersoft, because we have our amplifiers in their rack room, we have our mover transducers in their seats, and we have also our amp module inside the active speakers that are used in the Sphere, that are Holoplot X1 array, if you are familiar with this technology, or if you just followed, let's say, the project, since it's the biggest project and the most innovative into the planet, we have to say, in the world. But why we were able to be so successful to arrive to a project like this that, let's say, is just one of many projects where Powersoft is behind. Of course, this is now is a trend. Immersive is a trend. The Sphere, if you open a social media, you will find any video, any information about the Sphere. So it's something that we can talk easily, so it's easy to understand. But the real advantage is because our technology, our Class D technology, so our product, are very, very efficient. And this is the demonstration. So you can read on screen some data, some calculation that Claudio has done to, let's say, understand what was the impact of our product into the market for 29 years. And, we can say that we sold a lot of amplifier, we produce a lot of energy, but also we save a lot of energy. Okay, and this is something that could be translated into system integrator advantages, into end user advantages. How? Because at the end of the day, it's a project cost saving. Because a project, when you install a project, you not only pay today for the equipment, but you need to maintain that equipment, you need to power on that system every day, or maybe it's a system 24/7 on. Okay, so meaning that any watt that you can save from the mains, from the energy, is translated in the money that you are saving at the end of the year. Okay. And in this field, we can proudly say that we are very, very competitive. We are one of the most efficient brand into the audio market, giving also the best audio quality, because this is our, let's say, it's a mandatory threshold that we have to stay above always. Okay, we cannot accept to produce an amplifier, to launch a product that is not sounding good, or let's say it's sounding acceptable, because we care about the audio quality as a first, okay, of our rules in the company. So it should be a very, very high quality product, very efficient product, so giving a real advantage and making the system integrator and the end user doing a jump, a step above, okay, the standard audio system that we know in the market. There are a lot of systems that we are competing with, but I think in terms of quality, we have still no comparison up to today. And our new products are the demonstration of this. We will see some more technical details in this presentation, during this presentation. Let's start speaking about the fixed install portfolio of Powersoft. Well, I told you that Powersoft was born in 1995, and he's in the first, let's say, era of the Powersoft company. The first target was the live sound products, the live sound market, okay? Also because Claudio and the other founder of the company, Luca and Tony, they were musicians, so they had a band, so they play in some events. So, also music was in their DNA So they wanted to keep this and start producing amplifier for the music industry. And the first one was obvious to be the live part. So we still have a very, very interesting devices and product for the audio, for the live sound market. Today we will cover the fixed install because it's another step that the company made when decided to invest, to shift, and to add also the fixed install to their philosophy, to their company. So the line that you can find currently available through our distributor network, of course, so thanks to Phase, is the Quattro Canali series and the Due Canali series. As the name of the amplifier, the series is saying, there are Italian names that meaning basically 4-channel and 2-channel, because are 4-channel amplifiers and 2-channel amplifiers. Inside this amplifier, of course, there are all the patented technology of Powersoft, because Powersoft also, since creates innovation, uses patented technology. So our R&D invests a lot of time and resources in developing new technology, and of course in making patents for considering the innovation of this technology inside our product. So our product, of course, are very, very efficient, since these are install amplifier, can work in any mode with any kind of loudspeaker, so low impedance loudspeaker or high impedance line like 100 volt or 70 volt for specific area of the world. They have also the smart rail management technology, that is a Powersoft patented technology that allow us to dynamically modulate the rail inside the amplifier, meaning that the amplifier can be very, very efficient and not waste, let's say, the unused power into heating. So this is also a cost saving because we need to cool the rack room. So if you are a system integrator, you know very well how this aspect is fundamental when you are creating rack rooms in your projects. They offer, of course, all our amplifiers have a DSP on board, and the DSP is not only capable to make the processing for the audio signal, so taking the input, managing the matrix, the equalization, so all the filter and the limiters to protect the loudspeakers, but it also has all the logic to monitor the loudspeakers. So we can send a pilot tone to read the impedance of loudspeakers, and we can, of course, interact with the loudspeakers, because if you remember the vision of Claudio, this is the job of the amplifier. So interact with the loudspeakers, not only providing signal. So we need to be, let's say, in direct communication with the loudspeakers to understand if it's working properly or not. And it is also a cost-saving aspect, because at the end of the day, if we may know in advance, thanks to the technology inside the amplifier, that a loudspeaker is going to broke, or we need to fix something before it breaks, I mean, it's a cost. Let's say it's a time and money that we can save in this way. So what are the characteristics of the Quattro Canali series? Let's see some number. Of course, you can find everything in our website. All the datasheet and technical documentation are available to download. So maybe we will not spend so much time, but just giving you a few tips for reading this data. As you can see, we can cover a very huge amount of power, from a lower power range to a higher power range, at all the impedance, starting from 2 ohm, arriving, as I said, to 8, 16 ohm or 100 volts, so high impedance line. But the aspect that we have to consider is the asymmetrical power. So when we are designing a system, okay, we used to consider to take a datasheet, we used to take a loudspeaker datasheet, or maybe the other amplifier if we are replacing and renewing, let's say, a system with the Powersoft amplifier, and we want to, let's say, make the compatibility, choosing the amplifier that is capable to give us the same power range, okay? But to doing this, I mean, this is not telling the full part of the story. Why? Because we have to consider, again, how the amplifier are used, okay? So when we have systems that can give us asymmetrical loads for the amplifier, meaning that the amplifier is connected to different loudspeakers that may have different load and also different power requirements. Well, here we have a real advantage using Powersoft technology. Why? Because our amplifiers are very flexible thanks to what we call power sharing. So, power sharing is the capability of handling and sharing the amount of total power of the amplifier in a dynamic way, okay, across all the channel, based of course on the power needs. And the good things, apart from reading the data, is that this is an automatic behavior of the amplifier. So there is no setup from your side that you need to do. There is no specific configuration that you need to recall on the amplifier or deep switch that you need to enable to get this functionality. You just need to load the right preset, of course, on the channel, because thanks to the DSP in our amplifiers and to our software Harmonia Plus, you can select from the library the speakers that you are using. We have a huge library of a speaker preset, and then the amplifier knows exactly how should work with that specific loudspeaker. This allows us to be very flexible and again to consider some maybe low power amplifiers on the sheet, but can be used for even high power needs, because for example if we have just one channel where we required more power because probably is a subwoofer or a series of loudspeakers that need to provide a lot of power, okay, we may want to select a more powerful amplifier. Let's take an example, the Quattro Canali series, the 1204, that can give us at 4 ohm 300 watts. So if we have a speaker that asked us more than that power, of course we need to scale and go to a more powerful amplifier. But this may not be necessary because in the channel can go even up to 1000 watts. That is a lot compared to the nominal, let's say, power of the amplifier. This meaning that for the same system, we can fully drive that subwoofer. We do not need to bridge the amplifier, so we still keep our number of channels that we selected, and we are capable to, let's say, use cheaper amplifier, let's say a less expensive amplifier, and save money for us when we buy the equipment and for the end user, because okay, we can make him a better offer and maybe win against competitors or another brands that is offering the same system in terms of power. Due Canali series, of course, follow the same logic, is an amplifier's one rack unit with 2 channels. So if you don't need an higher channel count, probably this amplifier will be perfect to give you the real advantage of using our equipment and efficient product. But these are covering just a small, let's say, part of the fixed install. Because we know that nowadays more and more the market of, let's say, retail, store, bars, restaurant is growing a lot. And we were missing, let's say, a smaller size amplifier to cover these needs. And that's why at a certain point we came up some years ago with the Mezzo series. Mezzo series mezzo is an Italian word that means half. Okay, as you can imagine, we like to give Italian name to our product because we are an Italian company and every product is manufactured in Italy. So our production is in Italy. Our products are fully made in Italy. I want to underline this because I think it's important that it's a very added value. And mezzo amplifiers are half rack unit amplifier. So very small and compact size amplifiers in 2 different power ranges, so 320 watt and 600 watt. And you think also that the 320 watts model is completely sealed, as you can see from the picture into the screen. So also can be installed when you have, let's say, critical noise environment where the amplifier should be very, very silent, or can be installed into ceilings, okay, for specific application, of course. So there is no problem for the amplifier to work in those kind of system. It has also the DSP, like all our other amplifiers, and the same patented technology inside. Can work worldwide because the power supply is universal, and this is valid for all our amplifiers, so you don't need to select a different model from the United States or for the Asia Pacific area. So the amplifier is the same, it's always the same. It's capable of audio networking, all our amplifier, of course, because now it's a standard, the audio networking. The IT world and the Pro AV world are merging closer and closer, so the time is passing. So we want to stay, together and to make this path together with this team. And a good thing with this amplifier is that thanks to him, we created a first, let's say, solution. We were talking about solution that is called dynamic music distribution, and we will see some details. This is a bigger screen giving you the evidence of the two different models and the power range that we have. And if you want to know about the technical data, of course, you can read this table or look at our datasheet. But you consider the flexibility of the power sharing that we just talked a couple of minutes ago, that in mezzo amplifiers, we even, let's say, enhanced by the design of the amplifier. Why? Because actually mezzo is capable to provide even the full power of the amplifier to one single channel, if needed. May not be, let's say, a common use cases, but knowing that the amplifier is capable of doing it, meaning that we can go from, let's say, 80 watt nominal, if we take the 3 to 4, for example, the mezzo 3 to 4, and we can raise up the power up to 320 to even one single channel. This also simplifying the installation because we do not need to bridge if needed. So we don't need to remember how to change the connection of the loudspeaker, how to wire properly to the amplifier, and this means that we save time when we are installing a system. The auto setup is also another functionality that we like to introduce with Mezzo. Why? Because, Mezzo is so compact that can be installed anywhere. And we want that this install process is fast, okay? How is it possible to do this process in a faster way? Just looking at the amplifier, we have a small push button. It's the only, let's say, button that we have on board of the amplifier, so there are no physical control. Okay. Thanks to this button, if we keep press the button that you see on the screen, okay, we can launch the auto setup, so the calibration procedure. Actually, thanks to an algorithm and to some audio signal that would be played by the amplifier to each single output one by one, we are able to understand what are the limits of the loudspeakers, and we are able to understand if the line that we are building, so if the loudspeaker is wired properly. The amplifier is giving us, of course, the feedback thanks to the LED on the front and on the back panel that make us clearly understandable if the line is good, if the loudspeaker is working properly, or if we need to do some check, or maybe if it's a faulty loudspeaker, so we need to replace. So this is very easy because we are not using any software to make this check. It's just the amplifier with the press of a small button. So this is very easy when we are installing, as a system with the mezzo amplifier, and then we want to verify before delivering the system, to the engineer that maybe needs to tune or need to apply the configuration to the amplifier because he made the design with Harmonia Plus. But we are on site and we need to go maybe to another project, so time is essential in this part, so we can directly install the amplifier and verify that all channel and all loudspeaker connected are working properly. So this is very easy because we don't have to use any software, so the amplifier is doing the job for us. So let's talk about the dynamic music distribution. Dynamic music distribution actually is a background or even sometimes foreground music distribution system that allow us to manage sources across zones and to control in a very, very easy and intuitive way, thanks to the WM Touch. I told you that Powersoft, is famous for creating and manufacturing audio amplifiers, of course. But amplifiers nowadays cannot only amplify audio, so must be more intelligent, must be more smart, let's say. So we need to add a controller to the amplifier when we want to create a system. And this is our touch panel. It's a 4.3 inches touch panel that is PoE powered, so very, very easy to install because also is compatible with any single GAN boxes, so can be installed really anywhere in an easy way. And it has the ViewSource embedded inside. The ViewSource is the engine that runs the DMD system, the dynamic music distribution system. And we will see now what are the details of this system. So thanks to this panel, we can control in an easy way also because the graphical user interface is predefined. So we do not have to code anything. We just need to select which page, which elements we want to see into the touch panel. And the good thing is that in a dynamic music distribution system, we can install as many as we want. Okay, there is no physical limit or virtual limit to install WM Touch. So we can have maybe one mezzo or different mezzo amplifier across a room, across a mall, across an auditorium. The system that you create, and we can have 1 to 10 touch panel to control different area in different ways. Let's see the dynamic music distribution application. So I was just telling you malls, restaurant, hotels. So these are the best application that fits, of course, the background music distribution system. But let's see why it's dynamic. Because you can see on screen now that we are talking about sources, we are talking about zones. So actually, we are no more talking about the amplifier. And this is also an innovation because thinking about the system where you, when designing, you do not have to think about the amplifier and what the amplifier is doing, it's really, really innovative and it's simplifying the design process. Why? Because you don't need to add any other external equipment. You just need our controller, so the ViewSource engine and the WM Touch that embed the engine, and our amplifier. That can be any of Powersoft amplifier because all our series actually support the dynamic music distribution, so can be used in a dynamic music distribution. Of course, they have different features, so there will be a slightly different application in the design, but this is pretty normal. So let's go to see what actually we can do with the dynamic distribution. In the software, we can define and create sources. So actually, we can tell to the amplifier which are the sources connected to him. And the sources, of course, can be analog or can be digital. It can be Dante or AS67 or AS3 if we are using a Turing series amplifier. Then we have zones, so we can group the output of one or more amplifier together to create a single zone. And well, this is, let's say, obvious because when we are creating multi-zone installation, of course, we have a physically different location where the speaker needs to play. So the zone should match in the design phase the physical location that we expect to amplify with the signal. And as you can see from the screen, from the slides showed, we can assign different sources to different zones. So any zone can have his own specific source, or the source can be shared across all the zones, like the mixer, let's say, logo that is valid for all the 4 zones in this system. Then we can do more. We can create scenes. So the dynamic music distribution can manage up to 10 scenes where we can store in a scenes actually all the zones parameters. So the source selection, meaning that we can create one scenes for the morning and one scenes for the evening and another scenes when there is a live event or a small, let's say, acoustic playback and so on, where we can actually change the scene and we can even change the EQ of our loudspeaker, giving a bit, let's say, precise tune tuning to the system, because we know that when there is background music, a loudspeaker should play, let's say, in a softer way, should be smoother. But when we want to have live music, okay, the loudspeaker should play not only louder but give us the feeling of the live event. So maybe the EQ should be slightly different from the scene of the morning, and everything can be saved in the scene and recalled by our controller, the WNTouch, for example. Let's make a practical example and see how this system can be applied in, for example, a sport bar and lounge. Okay, of course, this can be any of the project you are figuring out. It's just to give you the idea on how the design phase should be approached by the dynamic music distribution system. So we have different area. Actually, we have 5 different zones in this system that you can see are covered by only 3 amplifiers wired in a different way, because the advantage that we can decentralize. So in this case, we do not need to have a rack room to install the system. We can install, since it's a sport bar, we can install one mezzo behind the TV that are mounted in the sport bar. Another mezzo could be close to the mixing console, because maybe there is the area, the bar area 1, that is covering our live party event or karaoke events in this way. And the other mezzo could be installed maybe in the office desk. Okay, it's easy to install under a table, for example. So we don't need to have a rack room, a specific location to install our equipment, our amplifier. So I think the owner of this sport bar will be happy that it's using all the space for clients and not for technical equipment. So in this system, we connected different loudspeaker, can be low impedance or high impedance, like you see on the screen, and we can connect a different zones. So we can have the digital mixer that probably is a Dante console connected to a network switch and going through all the amplifier. But then we have also analog loudspeakers. Maybe there is an audio player to play Spotify or whatever background music service he wants to use, our customer wants to use, a satellite TV receiver, because it's a sport bar, so we need to provide no sport content and so on, and maybe we want that a live match could be transmitted and followed by the clients that are in the bar. So how we approach to this system? We have, let's say, a basic option. So I was speaking about controllers, so WNTouch, but we also provide passive wall panels when we need to have fast and easy control. So these are 10K linear potentiometers, so it's just an electrical component, very easy to install, very cheaper to buy, no setup, no such a complex setup required, so we just need to wire to the amplifier. And let's see how this option can be applied to our system. So we can use different potentiometer for controlling the volume, for controlling the source selection if we want to change a source in a specific zone, or for even controlling a scene, so changing the scene, the preset that we have, let's say, stored when creating the design, when creating our project. As you are able to notice in this schematic, there is something quite strange, I would say. So the lounge area, where there are ceiling speakers that are connected to the second mezzo, actually does not have a physical control connected. But the physical control that are supposed to, let's say, change the volume and the source of that area are connected to the third mezzo, to the mezzo number 3, that actually is driving the subwoofer of the bar area number 1. Well, this is exactly the advantage of using a dynamic music distribution system. The advantage is that we can share the control across the network. So it doesn't matter when you physically connect your control. Okay, because the system logic is a real system logic. So we can decentralize. We do not have a central brain when you need to connect the controls. Okay, you can go to the closer amplifier. Maybe that amplifier was the closer to that area, so it was easier for who needs to manage, who needs to install, to put a potentiometer over there. And this is absolutely not a problem because we can assign the control of that potentiometer in a free way using, of course, the software Harmonia. So the amplifier and the system knows, okay, which is the area that that potentiometer need to control. This is valid not only for the control, it's valid also for the sources. As you can see, the sources are connected to different amplifier. But thanks to the Dante sharing capabilities, so the source sharing, of course, we need to use, let's say, digital audio amplifier, so amplifier equipped with Dante or AS67. Well, we can say we can do it also with the full analog amplifier, but we need to split at that point the source signal across the different amplifier. But we can apply the same logic, so it's possible if this is your use cases. In this case, when we have a source connected to one amplifier, that source could be shared across all the other amplifiers, so could be played in any of the zone of this system. Okay, so the same logic that we applied for the control, it's valid for the source. Maybe that amplifier was the more easier for installing, let's say, the source or patching, connecting the source because the TV receiver was closer to them, and it is available now to all the system. Then we can go a little bit, let's say, high-tech. Pass me this word. So we can add our WM Touch, so our touch pan controller to this system. And also, if we have the capability of creating a Wi-Fi network using our app or a web view, so a custom view that we can create from the software to give the customer a more pleasant interface, a more nice user interface, maybe adding his own logo, adding our logo, adding a picture, a real photo of the location of the zone that we are creating in this system. So creating a more, let's say, even engaging user interface for him to control the system. And actually, this is how we transform our design. No, the previous design was with the passive potentiometer. Now what we are doing, we are just adding our WM Touch, and don't worry if the switch that was installed there is not a PoE switch, because any PoE injector can work to power on our WM Touch, so very, very easy to install it. And thanks to the access point, so to the Wi-Fi network, we can connect our tablet, I mean the tablet of the customer that maybe he is using also for other purposes into the venue, and give them a custom view with the same logic of the WM Touch. So when we create that view, we can just add a picture. We have a predefined object that we can create an insert in the view, so we don't have to code any specific element, any specific input that needs to be added to that view, and so on. So very simple widget to control the zone, to control the scenes, and to control the system if we want to switch everything on or off, if we want to give the control, of course, to the user. Okay. Now let's go to the news that let's say, the most interesting part of the presentation. We have launched 1 year ago at ISE 2023 the world's finest audio amplification technology called Unica. Again, Unica is an Italian name, okay? You may have understood this. That means unique, okay? This translation is unique. Because actually this amplifier has very, very unique features in terms of technology that is inside. It's a completely new amplifier. We will see some details. And of course, is supporting dynamic music distribution. This year at ISE 2024, we have launched 2 new models, so we have extended the power range of Unica, and we will see some number in few minutes, and we also have added the compatibility to dynamic music distribution. So in case you need to make, for example, an hotel installation when you have a lot of zones, when you need the right power amount, and we will see which kind of power Unica is covering, you can manage with the dynamic music distribution logic, because Unica is fully supported with this. So Unica comes in two different models. Unica 8M, it's 8-channel amplifiers models. Unica 4L are 4-channel amplifier. Actually, from the beginning, so from the launch and the creation of this platform, we have defined as a platform, okay, because it's a platform that can evolve. Our goal is that this platform can stay into the market for 15, for 20 years, evolving according to the needs, of course, of the market itself. Because the hardware inside, the processing inside, everything inside is designed for the future. It's designed to be expanded. It's designed to be improved in the future in an easy way. So we are launching now something very, very innovative. Let's see some key points about Unica. First of all, we started the presentation talking about the audio quality. Well, with Unica, we try to make another step. So we have defined superb audio performances because it's even better than our Quattro Canali or Mezzo series, so all our other amplifier. We try to make another step, of course, to understand the needs and to collaborate with, let's say, specific partner that give us the feedback and they have the needs to use an amplifier that has very, very high quality performances in terms of audio. So we were able to achieve this when creating the Unica platform. It's one rack unit for all models because one other goal of Unica is to be consistent and to make easy the design phase, okay? So we do not have to remember which amplifier, which model is one rack unit and which model is two rack unit or even more if we are speaking about other brands. So everything is one rack unit. It's very easy. Also, not only the form factor but the aesthetics, so how the amplifier is made, it's valid for any model. So they are all the same. So when we are looking at the rack, also we have a consistent rack in front of our eyes. Okay, that's also is a good aspect to know, to understand. We added also a small 2-inch display with some soft touch button to do what? To make easier the monitoring process of the amplifiers. Remember that the DSP inside allow us to understand how the amplifier is behaving with the loudspeakers and with the mains part. So thanks to the display, we can just scroll the page and understand what is the impact that the amplifier is having on the mains, or if its status is fine and if all the outputs are working properly, or maybe we need to do some specific action to fix a possible problem on the loudspeakers. We also enhanced the power sharing. We will see an example later, so I will not spend time on this. And we also added some configurable GPIOs. Now, remember the potentiometer of the dynamic music distribution. In that case, are connected, of course, to the GPI on the back of the amplifier that can be used for that purpose. But with Unica, we want to do more, okay, because also was a feedback from the market. They asked us, why can't I configure a GPI to mute a specific channel? Okay, now you can do it. So thanks to Unica platform and to Harmonia, you have 6, let's say, configurable GPIOs that can be configured as for GPI operation or for GPO. So if you want to monitor a specific channel, so monitor the load, or even have the device fault interaction with the external system, you can use a pin as a GPO. Okay. Then we have also worked on the third-party integration, so we will see some details later because I didn't mention up to now, but our amplifier have, let's say, fully compatibility with other environmental system. So we have different plugins for different platforms that are available, or we even have API documentation. So if you need to develop your own interaction because you have your own custom platform, you can, of course, use our amplifier because will be compatible with your platform without any issue. Advanced load monitoring, we will see an example of how this can be applied, and also PoE Plus and PoE++. Well, Unica is our first amplifier that is supporting PoE Plus and PoE Plus Plus. That's it's becoming more and more, let's say, a word that we hear, in the Pro AV. So all the device could be now powered with PoE and so on. We try to simplify not only the installation but also the managing, and we will see what will be the key aspect for the PoE and PoE Plus Plus. Easy Swap is also another interesting functionality that we introduced with Unica, so the capability of replace an amplifier in a very, very easy way without a technical knowledge, and I will tell you how is it possible to do. Cloud-based, also Unica is our first amplifier cloud-based. I told you that we want to be closer to the IT team, so cloud now it's another trend like the immersive part that we were talking of for the Sphere. So everyone is moving to cloud. We commonly use in our daily job the cloud system to access to data, to share files and so on. So we want to be, let's say, also present into this field, and we tried also to innovate, giving a real advantage of a cloud-based amplifier platform like Unica. And of course, it's designed for the future, so this is the concept of the platform. Now let's go to see some more specific details about these functionalities. Well, with Unica, we also, let's say, make another step, so it's another level of amplification, because we introduced 5 new patents. So it's important because we spend a lot of R&D resources to create this amplification platform, this new platform. We really believe that this amplifier can change the rule of the Pro AV market. So when you do a process like this, I mean, you want to give the evidence of having something unique. So having 5 new patents inside to optimize the inside the inner part, the architecture, and to optimize also even more the interaction with the loudspeakers and again with the cloud structure is something very, very unusual. Let's say nowadays you don't find such a product with a lot of innovation inside that can really change the rule. But let's see what are these key features. This is the inside part of the amplifier, and not so common to see because usually you can't open amplifiers, but sometimes it's good to show what is inside and what is the logic behind what we are trying to deploy to the market. So you can see that we have the power supply section on the right part of the amplifier, the amp section that is taking, of course, the most part of the space inside the amplifier, and then the DSP processor that is a system on module processor, so it's completely new design also over there that can be expanded in the future, adding maybe new feature, adding new functionality without changing the hardware. So this is really, really important for us. You can maybe you have noticed that there is a particular design of the heatsink that it's of course what we see in the central part of the amplifier, and is a kind of wave-shaped heatsink. Well, this is made on purpose, of course. It's not an aesthetic point of view. It's made because we want to have more surface inside the amplifiers to keep the cold air for a longer time inside the amplifier. So again, Powersoft is famous for the efficiency, and we try to make a step more with Unica with 1 rack unit, a very, very high power amount. We will see the number in a minute, and we will be able to make a very efficient device that can be cooled easily, okay, without creating heating and overheating problem into your system. So this is very, very important. You can see that connected directly to the heatsink, there are 8 small fans. Of course, the picture is taken from an higher perspective, so may not be so visible. But I can tell you that these fans are the same fan that we are using actually in mezzo amplifier. Okay, so in our smaller amplifier. what we are trying to develop and to merge, as the experience we have in amp technology, okay, is exactly this. So creating something that is unbelievable, that with just such a small fan, okay, we can make a so silent amplifier, because it's very silent. Actually, now behind me the amplifier is switched on, but I cannot hear his I cannot hear anything. I mean, my hands here, the amplifier, it's completely cold. Of course, it's not working, but even in idle mode, we know how much it's important to have an efficient amplifier, because usually most of the product, when are doing nothing, they are wasting all the energy into heating, and this is one of our key advantages. So we are trying to really be efficient and not, let's say, impacting to the mains, so to the electricity system, to the power system. Let's see what are the key features of this new hardware architecture. Of course, we have two different hardware architecture, one for the 8-channel models and the other one for the 4-channel models. And here you can see the key points, the main key point that bring the innovation of Unica. First of all, the self-diagnostic. So this is something, of course, not for you, not for the end users, okay, but it's something important to know, because we improved a lot the internal diagnostic of the amplifier. Remember that I told you, the amplifier has a DSP inside, and this job is not only processing the signal and driving loudspeakers. It's also controlling what is happening inside the amplifier. So we have improved this system, and thanks to this self-diagnostic, actually, if there is a problem on the amplifier, we know exactly the point where the problem happened. Okay, we can exactly monitor every point of the signal path, okay, of the architecture of the amplifier. So, of course, our service center, in case needed, can connect to the amplifier using the USB-C port. We will see a picture of the rear panel, and monitor, okay, download and monitor what is happening to the amplifier, to an easy, let's say, process of restoring the amplifiers, and of course also improving the design. I told you about the heatsink design and the airflow optimization. This is essential because when all the model are one rack unit, the design must be very, very well thought, let's say, to ensure that the performances are always guaranteed in any condition. Also, we redesigned the output section in a different way from our our previous generation of fixed install amplifiers and Turing amplifier. So we are using a stronger MOSFET, so also the selection of the component that we are using, it's very, very important. R&D spent a lot of time in testing, in searching, looking for the right component that can guarantee the performances that we want to have. And almost no output failure. So this is, let's say, our promise, our aim, our desire. Because actually we, up to today, we, even in the R&D, or for my test as a solution engineer, we have not been able to break an amplifier. Okay, so we try to stress test, to make operation that you don't have, let's say, to do into the fields. No, don't try this at home and so on, that kind of stuff. So we try to do that part, and the amplifier was still working. So this is, let's say, we have to tell, not to ask you to try to break the amplifier, of course. I'm not asking you this, but it's an important fact in terms of reliability, because one of the key points of Powersoft is not only the efficiency, is not only the audio quality, but is also the reliability. If we think about our most sold amplifiers up to today, that is the Quattro Canali, it has a very, very low percentage of failure for all the units that are on the field, and this percentage is more or less the 0.3%. That means actually no failure. But let's say yesterday we were talking with Cosimo. Let's say this is acceptable, okay, and let's say this is not enough. We can do better. So with Unica, we want to even do better. We want to have no failure from the field, from all the devices installed from the field. So this is important because when you are installing an amplifier, when you are choosing an amplifier for a system, of course you need to guarantee, okay, to your customer that everything will work, that his system will be fine, that maintenance operation will be easier, and will not be expensive. So the cost of replacing equipment, we know that it's quite huge sometimes, depending on the project. So we want to be, on that part, giving that our product are very, very reliable. The new system of module processing, I told you about that small processor board that is inside the amplifier that give us the capability to add in the future more and more feature. On the right side, you find a picture. It's just a 3D picture of the 4L, so the 4-channel amplifier. Of course, since there are less channels, the space that were used to cover the other 4-channel is full of capacitors bank. And this is the system that we use to ensure a very, very high output power, actually, because Powersoft, let's say, it's famous for having and using a lot of capacitor inside the amplifier. If you ever seen a picture of the inside, if you ever open an X series amplifier or even a K series amplifier, our very, very old Touring amplifier, you can find inside there a lot of capacitors, a very, very huge bank. And this is to provide a very, very strong output power without stressing the mains, without stressing the power supply of the amplifier. Because we can, let's say, save and store in those capacitor what is called, technically speaking, the back IMF energy. So the energy that came back from the loudspeakers. And this is, let's say, a physics law, is not something that can be changed, okay, something that happen naturally in any system. So you have that energy, and most of the time that energy is wasted into heat, okay. We find and discover a way, okay, to take the energy back and to store and optimize all the system. So we have more energy than the energy we need from the power supply. Actually, this is the same system that is happening now with, if you are familiar with electric vehicles, with hybrid car. No, when you brake, you save the energy from the breaker that is no more wasted into heating from the brakes, but is converted into electricity and stored in a battery. Well, almost is the same logic, and actually this is one of the key points that makes the beginning, let's say, in the history of Powersoft was famous for this. About network redundancy, also Unica is our first amplifier with 3 network ports, allowing us to completely split the network and at the same time to have the redundancy. For example, for the Dante signal, we have the Dante primary and the Dante secondary, and on another network port we can have the remote control. So we are physically splitting all the networks and keeping the redundancy, so it's very essential. DSP PoE and Easy Swap we will see later with the other slide. This is just a recap of some data for all of you that are more technical and wants to understand more about the amplifier capabilities. This is just a fast comparison with our other previous generation amplifiers, so the Canali series, Due Quattro Canali, and the Mezzo series that we have talked when we started this presentation. As you can see, we improved a lot what was even good yet for the market and very, very appreciated as a standard of high quality amplification products. For example, we can notice that the fan noise level, no, I was telling you about using the same small fan of Mezzo, okay, and we have a minimum noise of less than 28 dBA. If you are familiar with SPL and what this data could be translated into reality means that we have almost no noise from the amplifier, so can be switched on even during a classical music concert in a theater without, let's say, creating interaction with the orchestra and making some noise that could not be, let's say, good in that kind of application. Or maybe even when you have some immersive, let's say, content to be played, you can find the signal to noise ratio that is 116 dBA again. So it's a very, very high level if you know what these parameters means. So when the channel must be open, for example, in a multi-channel immersive system, when you always have a lot of channel to handle in real time, okay, it's very important that those channels, even if are unmuted, should be very, very silent, okay? You don't have the noise, otherwise you will lose, let's say, the perception of the spatial content that you are playing. So it's a very, very key aspect. So we finally now can understand how much power we can have from these amplifiers. Well, the Unica 8M channel was launched with three different models, the 8K8, 4K8 and 2K8 1 year ago, and this year we extended with the 1K8 because actually was a request for the market. Okay, they asked us a lower power range Unica because they found that could be very, very helpful for that kind of application, medium to low SPL application, because of the higher channel, because of all the new technology that we have inside, and we will continue speaking today. But they need, let's say, less power. I mean, was too much the power that we had. Another interesting fact of this amplifier is that is, let's say, created to meet the design requirement and to simplify the design process for consultant and integrator. So you can see that the power is exactly the same at any impedance. Okay, and this is, let's say, not so common for amplifier. It could be even quite strange if you point up the Ohm's law and you say, okay, but if I, let's say, raise up the impedance, I double the impedance, I have to half the power. No, the physical of law is saying this one. Well, this is not true for our amplifier, because we are capable to handle, okay, and to keep the same output power at any impedance. This is very, very interesting. Also because you don't have to remember a specific power data. You just take the output power, the total output power of the amplifier, that is, of course, it's in the name of the amplifier. So 1K8 is 1000 watt in 8 channels, so it's very easy to remember. Then you just divide 1000 per 8 and you find 125 watt, so very, very easy to remember that this data is valid at any impedance. Moreover, the asymmetrical part, if you remember the power sharing, we will talking about that technology, allow us to double this power. So again, to avoid the need of bridge, so to save all the channels that we want and to increase the power of a specific channel when needed. And we also will do an example for this application. The amplifier can work in low impedance and high impedance, so you can see from the maximum voltage that is perfectly fitting even the 1K8, 140 volts, so 141 volt, that is the peak voltage for 100 volt line, if you are familiar with this kind of installation. So it's perfectly matching the requirement of that design system. And this is the Unica 4L, so a way more powerful amplifier in 4-channel. We can go from 5 kilowatt total up to 16 kilowatt in one rack unit. So it's a lot of power, especially when you have that high SPL application requirement that could be stadium or arena or even theater when there is a PA. Maybe it's not a theater for classical music, it's a theater that can be used for rock concert or so on. So the system is fixed install. Actually, it's not a live touring that you move. Okay, it's a fixed installed system, but you need a very, very high power. So this kind of amplifier, it's perfect to fit the needs. And as you can see, the asymmetrical part, for example, of the most powerful, so the 16K4, can go in 4-ohm load up to 5,200 watt in one channel, in one rack unit. So it's a lot. It's really, really impressive if you are familiar with this high power system that maybe you are using into a performance venue or even in an house of worship. But of course, we want to be flexible, so the market also here asked us a lower power range because we came up with the 9, 12, and 16.4, and this year we launched the 5K4 beside the 1K8 that we talked 1 minute ago. So also here a lower power range to cover that mid SPL needed, okay, mid SPL application. Very interesting, the variety of application that you can cover with all this power range if you think about having and using only Unica in your installation. So you may have the 8th channel for specific application and 4th channel for more powerful application in the same system, keeping the same workflow, having the same design and the same rack in your installation. So it start to become very, very interesting, creating a full solution using Powersoft technology. What are the unique selling points? So now let's try to go in deeper into what are the technical details of the amplifier. So let's speak about the PoE input. What is this PoE input that we introduce in our amplifier platform Unica, and what is the purpose of having this technology inside, supporting this technology inside? Let's make a practical example. So we have our amplifiers, we have our PoE switch, and we need to, let's say, configure the amplifier and finish, let's say, our job, our commissioning part, but the full mains in our system, in the venue that we are installing the system, is not ready to, let's say, allow us to proceed with our job. So we need to stop and wait that the electricity came. Well, this is no more valid, okay, for Unica, because thanks to the PoE plus switch or injector, of course, the same is valid with an injector, we can keep the DSP alive, so we can power up only the DSP part, the amplification part is off, so this means that we can continue going and make the configuration of our system, of our amplifier, okay, without waiting that the electricity part is finished and so on. So we can save a lot of time in this operation when we are on site. Moreover, this allows us to have a faster audio startup time when there is a power outage, a power cut, or a power cycle of the amplifier. And it's unbelievable that if I can say you that the amount of time that passed from the moment where you plug out and plug in back the power cord, the mains, or of course the mains came back to the amplifier, it passed less than half a second to have immediately the out from the input to the output part of the amplifier. So less than half a second. This means immediate. When the amplifier receives the power, immediately provide the output. So it's able to. So this, again, it's an improvement. So you know that in some critical application, there may be some regulation that force you to have an amplifier that guarantee that the audio passes, I don't know, within 10 seconds from the mains, within 5 seconds, within 3 seconds. You know, different countries may have different regulation, okay, uses different standard to use. Well, in this case, I think we can cover almost any need because half a second, it's very, very, let's say, erase time. we can think in this way. But let's make a step more. For if you want a recap, of course, you can find anywhere in the web the PoE classes table that are giving you the differences between PoE standard, PoE plus, and PoE plus plus. So it's very easy. Just as a recap, the PoE plus is the class 4 PoE, so providing 30 watt on the network cable from the switch to the amplifier. But if we want to do more, okay, if we want to be even more efficient, we can use the PoE++ switches, and you may think, yes, but those devices are very, very expensive up to today. It could be true, but trust me, in a couple of years of even less, this will be the new standard for networking too, because also the IT is moving over there. There are more and more devices that are PoE powered, not only in the audio fields, I mean in the system integration environment, and you know better than me for sure this kind of device. So will be the new standard, and we want to be ready for that. What we can do if we have the PoE++? Well, we can do the load monitoring operation. Yes, of course, it's valid. We can do the DSP configuration, what was we were able to do with the PoE+, so that's still valid. But we can do more. We can do the channel load monitoring. So actually, we can let the amplifier send the pilot tone to each output, because we have an internal pilot tone generator and an internal pink noise generator, to check if all the loudspeakers are okay, are working properly, read the impedance, okay, because the amplifier and the software will show us the impedance of the loudspeaker, so we can actually finish the commissioning, our job, when are integrating and installing a system, okay, before the full electricity power came and is available to run all the racks in the installation, okay. Or another example could be that we can just provide, let's say, as a maintenance operation, this I won't say daily monitor, but scheduled monitor operation, load monitor operation, maybe during the night at 2 a.m. when the venue is off, okay? So all the mains is off, all the racks is off, maybe the switch is on, is under an UPS, so, you know, they want to have always the network connection available and ready, because we know that the startup time for switches is not comparable to, let's say, what that half a second of the amplifier. But in that case, you know, the switch must be alive. We want that the switch is always on, and we can make the load monitoring operation, okay? This to guarantee and to, let's say, provide an added value, an added service, because if something is not working, we can send our technician into the location in the morning before the opening to fix everything. So when the clients arrive at the opening, everything is fixed. And we are, let's say, making a kind of preventive maintenance, no? And I'm sure that the clients will for sure appreciate if we take care of his installation in this way. So it's a tool that we can use in a variety of ways, and I think this kind of application, it's a key point, and it's pretty unique because we don't need to have power to the amplifier. Okay, we can just do it with the PoE++ with the switch or injector. Could be even, if this is not the use cases, could be even a tool for the technician that we sent on site to commission. He can bring with him a PoE injector, a PoE++ injector, to power up all the amplifiers one by one and check that the output are properly connected and the loudspeaker are properly working. So it's also a tool to make the commissioning operation faster in case the infrastructure is made in a different way. And this is, again, is time saving. So at the end of the day is cost saving for everyone, for the integrator and for the end customer. Yes, PoE++ means that you need to have a class 8 PoE switches providing 90 watt on the network cable from the switch to the amplifier. And now I want to talk to you about the easy swap procedure. Well, the easy swap is another functionality that we added to Unica to simplify the process of replacing an amplifier. Sometimes, it's necessary to do it because there could be a bigger problem into the venue. I told you that our amplifier is very, very reliable, so we are not creating a functionality because we think that the amplifier will broke over time, but we are thinking about something that can happen into a venue, so it's needed to replace the full system of amplifier. How this functionality works. So it's very easy. Any Unica amplifiers come to you with a USB, a Powersoft Unica USB key inside together with the amplifier, okay, inside the package. Actually, when you install the amplifier, when you mount the amplifier, just plug the USB key on the back of the amplifier. There is a USB port for this purpose, and forget about this USB key. Okay, you don't have to think of what is happening. What is doing actually? The amplifier is storing constantly a backup of all its settings inside this tiny USB key. So basically all the IP address or networking part, audio networking patching channels, if Dante ES67, whatever, input priorities, matrix, so all the signal path, EQ, speaker preset, everything is inside the USB key. All the key, of course, also of the amplifiers, the internal key, the authorization, all the encryption part, everything is part of this, let's say, backup. So what happens if you need to replace an amplifier? Just plug out from the rack, extract the amplifier that you need to swap, take its USB key and plug to the new amplifier that you are installing. Of course, it has to be the same model if you are swapping one-to-one the amplifier. When you plug the USB stick to the new amplifier, actually the front display of Unica, you can see on screen, it will tell you that he found the backup. And it will tell you, of course, the serial number of the amplifiers and the timestamp where this backup has been done. Unica, of course, create backup at any status changes of the amplifiers, of course, to guarantee that you always have the last condition of the device before, let's say, the unoccurred event happened. So if you confirm, of course, and press the lower button to restore, the amplifier, since it's a critical operation, will ask you to be sure and to confirm for real this, because it will change all the setting of the amplifiers. And then after a reboot, the restore will be completed, so your amplifier will be exactly like the old one, ready to replace and make the new job. So it's, as you can see, very easy to do. Anyone can do this kind of operation. All the maintenance guys team, if they are not as so expert, so knowledge into the amplification part or even into Powersoft system, they don't know the software and so on. Even this kind of guy can do this operation because it's very, very easy. It doesn't require to use any computer, to use any software to approach and make this maintenance operation. That's why we created this easy swap. And this is why also we provide the USB key, because it should be reliable. We tested a lot. We make a lot of tests with USB sticks, trying to understand which one, and selecting. Our R&D was constantly stressing, the reading and writing to a USB key to provide a reliable, because if the USB key breaks, of course, you are losing this functionality that could be vital for the amplifiers and for your system. So we want to guarantee this. And if there is any issue on the USB key, of course, the front display will promptly tell you when the amplifier is operating that something is not working in the right way. So maybe you need to check what is happening and changing and replacing the USB key. So it's very, very easy operation. Another important feature is the third-party integration. So we have we did a massive rework of our protocol. If you were familiar with our APIs of Quattro Canali series, for example, you know that you must have a strong, developer knowledge to understand, to read even the document, because it was created by developer for developer, okay, at those time. But now we know more and more that the market is changing, so even for, let's say, basic integration, easy integration, you don't need to have a developer. You want to do something fast, something, let's say, plug and play to finish your system in an easy way. So that's why we have created the basic protocol that is a UDP protocol, but it's a, let's say, human readable UDP protocol. For example, it contains strings like mute channel 1. So this, when you have a command that is so clear like this, it's let's say very easy to create even a customized interaction with your system in your control environment, of course. So this protocol is meant to be used for this purpose and providing you just basic controls operation, like mute, like changing level, for example, and so on. But if you need to do an advanced integration, a more complex integration, you can use our advanced protocol that is HTTP based, and it is a secured protocol, so you need to log in to use authentication to use this protocol. So this is to avoid that anyone that may know the protocol, because it's included with the documentation of the amplifier, if you don't find it, you can ask us, of course, we can provide it, will be able to, let's say, hack your system and to control and make some undesired operation with the amplifier. So you have to log in, you have to authenticate to use the protocol. The clients need to be authenticated. So it's very easy to guarantee the network security part. Then we also support the SNMP protocol. Again, we want to be closer to the IT world, so we know that SNMP is a protocol, a basic protocol, of course, but it's used a lot when there are IT infrastructure, bigger IT infrastructure in companies and corporate infrastructure. So with this way, we are compatible. All the file can be downloaded from our website. All the specification can be downloaded, so you can easily monitor even if you don't have let's say, a full custom control environment or monitoring platform. Then, of course, we also support the major third-party platforms. So we have developed, we are in process of developing different plugins. You can see on screen the QSys, for example, platform, the QSys plugin of Unica 8M. And we are in the development phase for Crestron, for Symmetrics. We will develop AMX. So if you have also specific needs or project where a specific plugin is required, you can let us know and we can evaluate if it's possible for us to work together to cooperate into the development, so we can support the development of a plugin for a specific platform. So we want to be, let's say, open and create the what I was calling at the beginning the system solution, not only with Powersoft, but the system created using Powersoft product, using Powersoft amplifier in a bigger environment. Network security, remaining to the topic of the IT world, okay, network security is something essential nowadays because everything is going to the network and we want to be secure, we want to be safe that this operation can be controlled in the proper way. So actually Unica offer a dedicated page for the network security that can be accessed by login following the link that is on screen. So actually typing the amplifier IP/security, and in this way you can select and unselect the protocol that you want the amplifier use and communicate. So you have the SNMP, of course, the basic and advanced protocol that I told you, and you can configure the authentication credential for this protocol, but you also have Harmonia protocol. This is very interesting because when you have an installation and you know that don't have to use Harmonia, or you just want to prevent someone came with a laptop with Harmonia software and change settings to the amplifier, you can just disable this protocol, this option, and then Harmonia software will no more be capable to discover the amplifier and allow control to the amplifiers. Of course, you have to remember that if you do such an operation, you have to remember that you did it. So once you are trying to change something to the system and say, oh, I cannot discover, and you maybe send an email to tech support or to your distributor and so on to ask for support, if you do this operation, please take care and note that you did it, so you cannot be wrong. The legacy third-party protocol that you find disabled by default is actually what is our previous, the protocol of Quattro Canali, for example. So if you have an installation, if you have a system that was existing and created with that specific integration, you can still use it, and Unica is compatible. You just need to enable that option. So in this case, Unica fully support our previous, protocol structure. So it's very, very easy also to be compatible and even to use in the same system. If you maybe have a system with Quattro Canali and you want to replace time by time, step by step with Unica, you can still maintain the existing structure of control. But there is also another point that I missed to talk, and what we are approaching now. So it's the Internet Protocol. What is this Internet Protocol capability that Unica has, this option about security? Well, actually, Unica is our first cloud-native amplifier. And also here, we are trying to innovate as much as we can, going into specific direction. So the IoT world, it's more and more important nowadays. So we want to be compatible. We want to follow, of course, this trend. So actually, Unica is capable to communicate with the internet world. Okay. To do what? I told you that it's our first cloud-native amplifier. Well, we have created a cloud structure, a cloud infrastructure that is called My Powersoft, and inside My Powersoft there is My Universo. My Universo is the structure, the cloud structure dedicated to monitor an Unica amplifier system, an Unica amplifier project, okay? Because we can have access to all our site, all the project that we are creating with Unica amplifiers in a single dashboard page, in a single page, to understand if everything is going fine or not. But we will see some details in a minute. What is important is that there is no device registration needed, so you don't have to be mad in remembering what are the serial number or maybe the IP addresses or MAC addresses or even invoice and so on, any details of the amplifier. So everything is linked to the Harmonia project. All the information that we need are inside the project, and directly from Harmonia can be deployed to the cloud. So we can enable the My Universo monitoring functionality directly from the software. We don't have to do such a complex operation. Multiple sites monitoring, so of course we can manage in a single place, in a unique place, all our installation. This is very important when we follow different installation. We may have for sure VPN access to any of these installation, but of course in this case we have to go one by one to verify that everything is good or to operate if something it needs to be operated. In this case, with My Universo, we have everything ready always in one single page, in one single unique place that is a cloud place. So, of course, you can access anywhere in the world from any device. You just need a web browser. It's based on the Microsoft Azure infrastructure. So when I told the Powersoft Cloud, and when you read Powersoft Cloud, of course, is not a local server installed in Italy or somewhere in the world, okay, that maybe can be turned off suddenly because someone is going out to the office, okay? It's Microsoft Azure. So, of course, we are using one of the major players in clouds infrastructure today, and we also rely on on their security part. So if network security is a sensitive topic, of course, it's a sensible topic, we are using their security, so we don't have to create and implement nothing. We just need to use what they offer. So AS256 encryption and so on, all the keys, everything is embedded inside the amplifier to communicate with the cloud in the proper way. So you can be sure that the communication is secure. Let's see how the cloud appears. So we have the first page, that is the dashboard page. That's very easy. 3 widgets. We don't want to make things complex. We want to give a clear indication of what is going on, what is happening. So we have sites. In the sites we have the number of physical installation, and so the project of Harmonia that we have made and we have deployed to the cloud. Then we have the suggestion widget. In this box we can find maybe some operation that we may need to do. For example, like a firmware update, because it's an operation that is possible using our cloud. Or some sites that require attention. Maybe there is a warning, maybe there is an alarm, so we need to go directly to see the problem, and we can focus on the sites that have problem. Imagine, of course, that you manage multiple sites, a lot of sites. Then we have the events charts. Of course, in these charts we have the full event history of our amplifiers, of our sites, so we know exactly what is happened and when happened. So this is really important in case of problem to, let's say, demonstrate also that there was the problem. When the problem occurs, maybe the system was used not in the proper way, could be a case, or just knowing when this problem happened and what is the operation that at the moment someone was doing to the system. So it's very, very important. But another key point of My Universo is that we can even check the device configuration and routing. So we can go into the device settings, and what you can see is exactly what I'm showing you on screen right now. So this is actually a kind of schematic of the DSP of the amplifier, of VUNIC amplifier. So we have on the left the source block, in the center part there is the matrix, and the output part on the right. So it's easy to understand what is the signal path in this case, because we can see overlaying the input 1 where it's flowing, so it's going to the output A, B, and C, and which are the preset loaded to those outputs. So I may be aware if there is a misconfiguration, if this is not responding to my technical documentation, I can verify this. And I can even know if the input is going to the amplifier or not. Of course, this is a static picture, so it's not giving you any real-time feedback, but if you see the 4 dots besides the inputs block, those are actually animated bars that when there is an input, a live input coming to the amplifier, actually those bars are moving, okay, to give us the feedback of the signal presence. This is very important because, for example, let's make the simulation that our customer is calling us because he thinks the system is broke, is not working. Okay, he arrived to its stores, if it's a retail store or whatever. He arrives, start up the system and switch everything on, and the audio is not playing, so he thinks that probably the amplifier is broken or the loudspeakers are broken, maybe the audio is not going to a specific zone and so on. So he starts calling us and say, hey, you have to come here, please, immediately, because I need to open in 30 minutes, and it's essential to have music, otherwise people will never come into a store if it's without music. You know, now it's very important. So you can just open your page from your office, maybe you are in the office, go into the device settings and see exactly a picture like this, that the amplifier is not receiving any input. And maybe you can just kindly remember to your customer that he needs to press play to his tablet to start the playlist or whatever is the audio source that he is feeding. In this case, he is happy because he solved it immediately, the problem. You are happy because you can remain in the office and continue doing other stuff, so you don't have to move yourself or send a colleague of yours on the field. So spending time, spending money, arriving there, everything is solved, and you manage in a very, very easy and smarter way. So you will for sure appreciate this feature. About the security, again, we are using Microsoft Azure infrastructure, so everything is encrypted, all the communication are safe and secure, and you can see also Harmonia is communicating with the cloud. So we have the hardware, so the device with the internal gateway that is Unica, it's authenticated to the server, then we have Harmonia that is pushing and uploading the settings, the site, let's say, specification to the cloud. So the combination gives us the full access to the structure of my universo, accessing to all our sites, being capable to monitoring from one single place. But this is not the end, because you may ask yourself, well, but to use this very nice and interesting feature, do I need to buy a Unica amplifier? I have just finished my retail store with Mezzo because dynamic music distribution was a very nice system and Unica was too powerful, so I need a Mezzo to do it. Or I have my installation made with Quattro Canali. I just finished my cinema with Quattro Canali. So how can I take the advantage? Well, Unica is, of course, the news, the introduction, the innovation to the market, but we are not forgetting our current, let's say, still current amplifier. So we can be compatible with Universo. And actually, all the Powersoft amplifiers are compatible with my Universo cloud. How? Well, this year at ISE, you have read that we have launched Verso. Verso is the cloud gateway device that allow you exactly this operation, allow you exactly to have all your Powersoft amplifiers monitored into my Universo structure. Okay, unfortunately, it was not possible to add the, let's say, cloud support directly inside the amplifier because they were not capable for doing. So we need an external device, but it's very easy because it's just an accessories. It's half rack unit amplifier and it's PoE powered, so it's very easy to install. Half rack unit means that it's the same size of Mezzo, so you can install just beside him or on the top of your rack, so it's very easy. PoE powered, so directly from the switch, you don't need to add a new mains core to install it. And if you want to have, let's say, a secondary power, let's say, source from this device, you can use the small USB-C port that we have provided over there. All the accessories are included, also the USB key for the easy swap, because we think that this is very interesting and essential features when you need to manage sites. So also Verso has the capability of being easy swapped itself. So if you need to replace with the new one, or maybe you need to change something, you just plug out the USB key of a Verso and plug into the new one, and actually the new Verso will acquire all the site configuration and the structure to communicate with the amplifier into your site. So very, very interesting feature. In terms of security, of course, we have two network ports. One is dedicated for the local area network, so meant to be connected to the amplifiers, while the second port is used to connect to the internet. So we are actually splitting the network and improving the security for the IT team that will be very happy that they don't need to expose any device to the internet, so to possible, hacking and so on operation. 3 LEDs, so same structure for an easy monitoring on the front panel. If the amplifier, if the gateway is on, if the local area network connection is active, and if the internet connection is okay or there are problems. So very easy to understand if the device is working. And of course, Verso will be part of Harmonia software, so you can find it as a new entity object in Harmonia Plus. What are the goals? So the key feature of Verso, you have understood, so it's the gateway for all Powersoft amplifier, even the Touring lines, okay? because we know that sometimes there are existing installation, powerful, very powerful installation. Unfortunately, Unica was not there at the time, so they used our, for example, X series or T series, because those performance venues or theater or stadium needs a lot of power, so they need to use our touring amplifier, even if they were made for touring, but can be used in fixed install. Now with Unica we solved this problem because you can use only Unica platform, but I mean, if you have this kind of installation, you can still monitoring into My Universo, just adding these small accessories to your rack. It offers also easy operation for the firmware update. This is very essential because when you want to provide maintenance operation, so you want to update firmware because of security reason and maybe new feature coming, you can do this via cloud using My Universo directly. So actually interacting with the Verso, all the firmware file will be downloaded to Verso, and Verso will deploy the update to all amplifiers. So it's very easy to maintain updated your system. Also, the DMD, so the Dynamic Music Distribution views host, so remember the engine of the DMD system, has been embedded into the Verso gateway, meaning that you can use the Verso also to build a dynamic music distribution if you want. Maybe you don't want to provide any control or just web view control on the tablet or on the smartphone, so you don't want to have a WM Touch, our Wallman Touch panel, okay? But you can do it creating a system and just adding a Verso. So you take two advantages. The first one is having the site monitored into the My Universo cloud. The second one is creating the dynamic music distribution system in an easy way. It has an onboard storage, an internal storage of 12 gigabytes for storing all the data, all the communication with amplifier in case of connectivity loss. So for some reason there are a problem or IT team is making maintenance to the internet, so need to cut down the internet connection, but you don't want to lose what the amplifier are doing. So Verso it's locally storing all the data constantly, and then when the internet connection is restored, he will push all the information to the cloud. So you will have the full history access completely into the cloud again. So you are not losing any operation of the system. It offers also a consistent monitoring since, of course, Verso, I know, I told you, is supporting all our series from the Touring to the fixed install, so from the X series to Mezzo, and they are different amplifiers, so they may have different way to provide alarms, to provide maintenance operation, and so on. So we want to be consistent following Unica philosophy, of course, and to make this consistent, Verso is actually bridging all the communication with the amplifier and giving the unique monitoring part that is consistent and aligned with Unica. So you will find the same alarm indication, the same events indication, the same info and warning indication from Unica to Verso and from the Quattro Canali to Verso and to the cloud. You just need one Verso per site, so if you're asking yourself how many devices Verso can support, how many Verso do I need, maybe I have a big system, well, Verso can support up to 200 devices. 200 devices, it's quite a big, let's say, number for even such a big installation like stadium and so on. So you just need only one Verso to monitor every device, every Powersoft device that is on the network. On screen you can see just a demo page of the cloud structure into the device details, that just to show you what could be the indication of some amplifiers. And as you can see, My Universo up to yesterday we were able to see only Unica in this page because it was available only for Unica. But thanks to Verso you see that now I'm monitoring a Quattro Canali, two Mezzo different models, and even a T series. areas. Of course, Verso itself is monitored to the My Universo cloud, and also the WN Touch for the DMD. So we have a second section, not only the amplifier, but also other accessories. So we can have Verso, WN Touch, and maybe in the future, who knows if something else can come up and be added to the My Universo structure. About the cloud security, again, it's still the same structure. So Verso is following and it's fully compatible with Unica. It's fully compatible. It has all the infrastructure embedded inside. So we can add Verso even if we have Unica, if we don't want, for example, to expose directly Unica to the internet part. So we can use Verso as a security device, as a network security device, because if we split, no, I told you it has two network ports, if we split the network from the internet to the, let's say, local area network, the remote control network. But we can also have the optional way to let Unica directly communicate with the cloud so they can be compatible at the same time. If we want Verso be connected to the cloud and Unica be connected to the cloud, they can do it at the same time without interfering each other. So the communication has been designed to guarantee also these use cases. So you can have both together that are pushing the information to the cloud. So, to make a recap of all the interesting news that we have seen during this presentation, let's try to summarize what are the customer values when we move from existing installations, so all the existing Powersoft design approach, to an Unica project. Okay, so a typical project up to yesterday was made with Quattro Canali series, for example, as a standard amplifiers for PA, and X series for subwoofer, because we know we need a lot of power, so we want to have the most powerful amplifier by Powersoft, and was the Touring. But if you are a consultant or if you are a designer for your company, for your system integrator company, well, you can be, let's say, very, very comfortable in design a project with Unica because it's only one product lineup. So when you're creating your specification, it's very easy to understand. It's just Unica. You don't need to remember Quattro Canali, X series, Mezzo, and so on. You merge everything in one single family. Same for Factor, so it's very versatile family in terms of power and in terms of power sharing, and we will make the final example at the end of the presentation. And of course, high reliability. So Unica has been designed to meet the requirement because, you know, we heard your feedback, we asked your feedback, and we take into high consideration to develop the feature of Unica. And of course, this is just the starting point. So Unica platform and My Universo structure will evolve together with your needs. That's what we want. We want to make a product that you are happy to use and it's follow your requirements and your needs. Then, if you are a specific only system integrator, maybe someone else is doing the design for you, what are the advantage of using Unica? Up to, again, yesterday you were using maybe Quattro Canali for PA and the Otto Canali series that is no more available for a distributed line, for example, for high impedance line. So we have also a different rack space to take into consideration. But when moving to Unica, of course, we keep the same advantage of designing, so one product lineup. We maximize the efficiency because there are less installation costs. You know, the same channel amount, even if are just, you know, picture, but are showing the same output channel number, okay? And we are reducing a lot the rack mount space. So if we multiply this per different, you know, installation or system in the same installation, we can save even a rack room, you know, to be built for managing all the installation. Network security, of course, a safe and easy connection. So this is really important because you can monitor all your site into My Universo Cloud. So it's very easy for you to handle and even to provide the service to your customer. You want to provide maintenance services and you can monitor everything in one single place in an easy way. The remote monitoring, that's what I just told you, and a streamlined configuration using Harmonia Plus. Well, actually, even if Unica and Verso and MyUniverso are completely new structure, hardware architecture, and software, and so on, we didn't change the way you create your project into Harmonia. So actually, you have to continue designing and creating and configuring the amplifier exactly in the same way you were doing up to today. Okay, you can keep the same configuration. It's not a new software, it's not a new let's say amplifier that you don't have to manage in a different way. It's exactly the same like X series, like 8 canali, like 4 canali, like mezzo. So keep the same workflow, don't need to change your workflow. This means that you don't have to spend time to learn maybe a new software or a new procedure to do things. And less maintenance costs, of course. The high reliability of Powersoft, the proven reliability from the market, will for sure give you an advantage over time in choosing and installing Unica amplification platform. Some fast high-level system example just to give you an idea, some ideas on how this can be applied a project if you follow this kind of project. What are the requirements when we are creating stadium of arena? Of course, we need ISPL and high-quality loudspeakers for the VIP room. So again, the audio quality play an important role also in this kind of installation. And we can do an entire stadium project like this using only Unica amplifiers. So one product lineup, the 4 channels, so the most powerful for the big PA to cover all the audience of the stadium. Then we have the higher channel count because we have many VIP rooms and we want to manage in an easy way. So the 8K8 and the 4K8 can do the job for us. And then for the locker room and so on, we have the 2K8 just to manage very, very small power needed amplification area. Or if we are managing a theme park, we are used to work in theme park field, well, we can follow the same approach. So we have ISPL for the show stage, of course. Then we have the spot coverage PA, so precise PA and loud enough for the attraction, for each single attraction. And then we have all the common outdoor area that, of course, need to be covered with the background music distribution. So we can do this system, a theme park system, again with Unica, so keeping the most powerful model for the PA stage and the attraction, and then using the 8 channel, so the less powerful model for the outdoor area and even for the facilities and the service area. So this is very easy to make a project design with Unica, only with Unica amplifier, because the power range allows us to cover all the needs that we have in this kind of project. At the end, we can think also on hotels and resorts, where maybe here we do not need to have such a huge amount of power, okay? But probably we need a lot of channel because there are a lot of area to be covered in an hotel. And another important point is that requirements could be that we need to have remote monitoring in this, because of course that will be a supervisor entity in the hotel that need to guarantee that the system is working, because hotel clients must be taken into very high consideration. So it should be integrated with I use this general name, Hotel Multimedia Management System, means the system that the hotel is doing to managing all the technical stuff. So what could be a solution for a project like this? We can even use only Unica 8M, so we don't need to have a lot of power, we don't need to shift and move and add the 4L, so the 4-channel amplifier platform. We can use only the 8M, so 8 channel for covering all the needs of an hotel, okay, everything that we need. Pendant speakers in the restaurant, in the bar area, ceiling speaker for corridors and even rooms if we want to provide the audio system of the room. And since it's compatible Unica with dynamic music distribution system, we can install a wall mount touch, a WN touch in any room to let them manage and select the source that maybe they have, because we push on the network different music style, music sources from pop to R&B to classical, so the customer can select in his room which kind of music content he wants to play, or even the local TV that is installed over there. And this can be done only with with Unica and the dynamic music distribution system, taking the advantage of having my universo that can monitor everything and giving us the right notice to understand if the system is working or not. So this flexibility, just to confirm this flexibility, let's make the final example speaking the power sharing. So we started about the technology, about the vision, and we close the circle now with the same approach. This is what Unica, for example, 8K8, so 1000 watt per channel, can do in terms of symmetrical power, okay? But we just seen that the use cases allow us to apply different loudspeakers to Unica, okay, because different power needs, different impedance needs, okay, are the requirements of our system. So what we can do? Actually, we can have, for example, a channel that can raise up 2000 watts into 4 ohm, because maybe it's a subwoofer or a series of subwoofer or a parallel of subwoofer, depending on the model. Then we can have two, for example, point source big loudspeakers. Maybe this could be a theater area or a more, let's say, attraction area or stage area if we think about the theme park or whatever application you want to think. Then we have a secondary system that should be even powerful enough, but not so as the first one. So we have another subwoofer and another full range, let's say, speaker, very powerful loudspeakers to cover a specific area. Then we may have an outdoor series of speakers to guarantee, the diffusion, the background music diffusion, and then some facilities at 70 or 100 volt is the same for even a small speaker in a control room if we need to listen what is happening, we want to do it. Well, actually, you have seen that with just one amplifier, we are able to cover the full project. And we just need only one Unica. So this is, of course, really, really cost saving, because at the end of the day, we are just using one device with a lot of features, with a lot of advantages that are giving us to provide the full system to our customer. This could be a stadium, this could be an hotel, this could be a cinema, because, 8 channel is also a magic number for cinema, because old system 7.1, could be easily managed in a system with an amplifier like this, because when you have a cinema system, maybe you have different kind of loudspeaker, because different sources according to the audio distribution. The 7.1 requires different power, so you have the subwoofer and you want to have deeper and more power on the bass. Then you have the surround that doesn't need so much power, and the front, left, and right that needs to be powered enough, and the center also for the voice. So this could be also a good example, a good application for Unica series.
It was interesting to see all the innovations one after another. It's quite impressive what you're doing with Powersoft. And I think it will give the system integrators a lot of tools to work with. It's very efficient with the Unica system now. It will give them a bit of a new way of thinking in systems. But as you said, it opens up a lot of possibilities to really have a compact, very powerful system. So I wanted to thank you for the overview, and I wanted to thank you and Cosimo for coming to Belgium and explaining everything to us. We'll definitely keep in touch, and I think we should do this on a regular basis. Thank you as well for letting us record this so that we can share it to the system integrators that could not make it. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you for inviting us. And of course, I think the next step for who is following this recording is to come here and listen to the amplifier, put the hands on the amplifier. Unfortunately, we haven't had the possibility to play with it because we are recording. So I think the best part is to organize, let's say, a real, also even demo session, listening test, so they can appreciate all the functionality that we discussed for real.
We always have the demo gear available. We have a good inventory of stock, so that's definitely possible. We also have a team that is now up to date with everything that is Powersoft. So if they need to help in thinking and configuring setups, then they can definitely help with that. So thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining, guys.